You're listening to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Hello, everyone. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining us. This is a podcast where borders collide, where the gloves are off, where filters are removed, where we tell you exactly what we think about the news, politics, and religion. The Wayward Atheist Podcast is dedicated to free thought, reason, and the pursuit of truth. You can follow us on Twitter at Wayward Atheist, on Spreaker, Stitcher, and iTunes. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a comment on our Facebook page. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
This week's episode of The Wayward Atheist has been brought to you by the crafty freethinker, atheist, humanist, and secular jewelry for those who don't like the idea of wearing a torture device around their neck. Find the crafty freethinker on Etsy and Amazon. Links are in the show notes, or simply Google the crafty freethinker as one word. Hello and welcome to the Wayward Atheist Podcast. I'm Dave, aka the Great White North.
And I'm Ed, the Everyday Atheist.
And tonight we are joined by
Dre Gibson from another Atheist podcast.
all the way from Germany.
All the way from Germany.
So what have you been up to since the last time we spoke with you?
Really nothing, dude.
Nothing.
like absolutely nothing. Like, I almost hate you asked me that question because I have like nothing to tell.
I have this image of living in Germany to be like this metropolitan, good time, like aristocrat lifestyle.
You're not that far off. If you're single here, if you're a single American here, life is really, really good. You know, there's a lot of, clubs that are, safe. There's a lot of things to see. What I've been doing, I've been doing a lot of traveling because, we're going to be leaving within like the next, I don't know, like maybe 7 or 8 months. So we're trying to get all the traveling out the way. We're going to go to England for Thanksgiving, and then we're going to drive down to Italy, maybe around Christmas or possibly on Christmas.
You realize that they don't celebrate Thanksgiving in England, though, right?
Well, and that's why we're going.
Okay.
That's why we're, that's why we're going for Thanksgiving, so that, because everything it'll be a normal day. But it's a week off for us. It's a free, it's a holiday for us that entire week. But it's not for England or anywhere in Europe.
So the reason why I know that, and I don't know if the listeners know this about me, but like my family is immigrants. They immigrated from the UK. We never celebrated Thanksgiving growing up until a while after we got to Canada. Then, after a while, then we started celebrating it. But for the longest time, we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving. That's all I knew. That
I didn't know that Canada observed Thanksgiving, because I understand why like Europe don't, because it's an American holiday. But
except we had it first.
Yeah, Canada's first.
So like what? Like a full 40 years before you guys ever conceived of Thanksgiving, it was already happening here. So the history of Thanksgiving.
So
you want me to give you the history of it?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Okay, so there's a captain from England, a ship's captain. He left with a fleet of wooden ships, and his name escapes me. Some fucking British name, so Nigel. So Nigel leaves fucking England with all these ships, and like every single one of them sink except for his. So they reach fucking Canada, and when they get here, in honor and thanks to his ship's crew for getting him on land, they had a big feast, and that's how Thanksgiving started in Canada. A little bit different.
I like the American origin better.
Of killing natives?
Yeah. No. it's just much more exciting.
But
I mean, your guy's name is not even like Nigel. Yeah, like that's
it's not Nigel.
Cool name.
It's some British name. But then like the Pilgrims and all that stuff, it came in later on in Canada. And like the dinner with the Indians and all that. Or natives. Sorry, I shouldn't say Indians.
Right.
Old habits die hard. I grew up in northern Canada, so That came in later, but the actual, like, the real origins of Thanksgiving is what I just said.
Wow. Okay, you know what that reminded me of when you started telling the story is that, so I grew up thinking that Thanksgiving was a American holiday and solely an American holiday specific to Americans.
We even have ours before you. Like in the year, like ours is always the first weekend of October.
Do you call it Thanksgiving, or is it like
no,
feast day or some shit?
It's Thanksgiving weekend. We get a long weekend.
So it's possible that, and I'm not saying this happened, right? I'm a Donald Trump this, right?
Okay.
I'm not conceding to this. I'm just asking you, are you trying to say that Americans ripped off Thanksgiving from Canada?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that, like-minded people.
Oh, we borrowed. You had first.
No, not at all. You may not have even known that it was going on here. It's like when you have two comedians that have kind of a similar style, they may come up with the same joke. It doesn't mean that the other one is ripping off that joke. It just means that they had the same idea. You know what I mean?
What I was about to liken it to is like, religion, like, how Buddha existed.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that. And I doubt that the Americans that landed at Plymouth Rock even knew about or Americans. It wouldn't have been Americans back then, but the settlers that landed at Plymouth Rock even knew about the ship captain and the story, because it was, like 40 or 60 years prior to the landing. And I don't think they would have known the customs of northern part of North America, because it seems like for us, when we're learning history, we learn both. We learn about like what happened in Canada when they landed in what is now Canada, and we learn what happened in the U.S. because we were still a colony. So, and the U.S. at that time was a colony. So we would learn what all of the colony was doing, where in history, you guys would just learn what the U.S. was doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So right. we only learn about the U.S. You would have to take like world history.
Yeah, we always took world history. Like history was made up of like, so we like, it wouldn't be necessarily all of the world, but it would have like three major components. It would be Canadian history, American history, and then like British colony history would be like the major components. And then we would learn about like the rest of Europe and a little bit about Africa, and the least I'd say that we learned about was Asia, but mostly, Canada, US, and Britain, in Britain encompassing the world that they owned at that time. And a lot of our history in school had a major emphasis on World War I and World War II.
Well, that's interesting, man. I did not know that any other country. Well, I knew, of course, that other countries had, days that maybe was, a day that you got with the family and ate a big meal.
Yeah, so yours is in November, ours is in October.
Uh-huh.
It would make sense that it was before, since, it was our holiday. No, it was just, I think, a like-minded thing. Like, I don't know. It's a fucking tough land to land on and try to.
So what's the what's the typical meal? Like for us, it's turkey. So what's the main dish?
The exact same thing as you guys.
That's too many coincidences. Dude.
Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes.
And was it that from the beginning, or did it sort of evolve?
I think it evolved into that.
It evolved. I think for you guys, it evolved into that as well. But it may not have, because, wild turkey, you could have been hunting wild turkey. But I think that it evolved into that. I think when the settlers actually came, like, in both sides, they weren't really accustomed to living in North America. So when they were on the coastline, it would have been really easy for them to get fish, because, like, and Edward's from Newfoundland, so he's going to tell this story way better than me. But when the ships actually came, the first time they came, they lowered buckets into the water to get water to clean the ship. And when they raised it back up, it was full of codfish. And that's what actually made them like, this is the spot. But once you move inland, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And then winter hits and you're fucking screwed, right?
Well, I mean, especially in an island like Newfoundland where you don't have wild turkeys, you have a few game birds. We didn't even have grouse technically until the 1800s when they were introduced. So there was a lot of different things in Newfoundland that you just don't get on the mainland. Like we have caribou as our main large game animal here, and black bear. That's it. No rabbits native to the island.
But the original feast probably would have been cod.
Yeah, I'd say it would be cod or wild birds. Like in Newfoundland, traditionally, in traditional outports, it would have been like sea ducks and things like that. It would have been something ocean going, basically.
Right. Well, I'm for the first Thanksgiving, the way we're taught in school. It wasn't turkey either. I forget. I think I've heard like different versions, different stories of what was actually served at the first Thanksgiving between.
But you don't actually believe that there was like a meal where the pilgrims were like, not. "Oh, thank you for saving us." No, they maybe ate the Indians. Or the Indians ate them, because like where I grew up in like northwestern Ontario on Lake Superior, the Ojibways and the Crees, they definitely took slaves and they definitely ate their slaves. So like it may have been vice versa. But all of this stuff here, like with us thinking that we're the first Europeans to come, like not you obviously, but us, is fucking bullshit, because archaeological evidence, and there's lots of it, and Edward, if you were on the island that Edward lives on, he could take you to it. The Vikings were actually the first ones to land in North America by a fucking long shot too. Not even close. Like hundreds of years.
500 years.
500 years. Go ahead and explain it, Edward.
There's a place in Newfoundland called Lansa Meadows, where there's a full Viking settlement. Basically, there's a forge, there was a small chapel, there is homes, and it was a settlement that lasted approximately maybe 2 to 5 years, that they know of. And they got chased out of here by natives, actually, and that and the fact that there's little here to survive on besides fish. They were here for a full 500 years before Columbus ever set sail. So that lore, Columbus might have gotten some of the lore from ancient accounts of Vikings coming here. But they've also found a new site, which it could potentially be another Viking settlement on the south coast of Newfoundland as well. So that's exciting.
And just so that nobody thinks we're full of shit here, what's your degree in, Edward?
Anthropology.
With a minor in?
Aboriginal Studies.
Okay. So just so that everybody knows that it's coming from not a unsourced fucking place. Cocksuckers.
I need to open with a very critical breaking news announcement. The FBI has just sent a letter to Congress informing them that they have discovered new emails pertaining to the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's investigation. And they are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct that threatens the security of the United States of America. Hillary Clinton's corruption is on a scale we have never seen before. We must not let her take her criminal scheme into the Oval Office. I have great respect for the fact that the FBI and the Department of Justice are now willing to have the courage to right the horrible mistake that they made. This was a grave miscarriage of justice that the American people fully understood. and it is everybody's hope that it is about to be corrected.
I don't think Trump could have jumped on that fucking press conference faster to announce to the world that the FBI is. I don't know. I didn't look into it too deeply. I kind of read something. I think Trump made it out to be that it's a new investigation. I think they're just looking into it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't know. Well, it's new. Like, it's, for me, it's just like 2 hours old. The information just came out about 2 hours ago. And it looks like, for me, it doesn't really look damning for Hillary. It looks like it was, what is Anthony Weiner's wife's name? I always mispronounce her name.
Mrs. Weiner? I don't know.
Well, whatever her name is. But it seems like it has more to do with her and Anthony Weiner than Hillary. So what I'm guessing, and this is me, just guessing, is that maybe she said something, she texted something to Anthony Weiner, maybe about Hillary or about the email scandal.
Okay.
But either way, I think it's really, like really messed up for Comey to even put information like this out so close to the election, and it's really vague because I don't know if you guys notice or not, but Americans, they're stupid. Like we are really stupid, and the only thing Americans will hear is email investigation Clinton, and all of a sudden Trump is president. Like that's how the shit works.
And the fact that Trump came out and said investigation, indictment, blah 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 at a press conference like immediately after. Like, I actually heard it on the radio first, so it's pretty big news. If I'm gonna hear it in Ottawa on an alternative rock station, then it's probably pretty. They actually broke. They're like breaking news, and they went to Trump, and Trump said his spiel there, and the crowd was like, as soon as they heard indictment, they went fucking ballistic. They went absolutely insane, jeering for it and whatever
lock her up, and all of that. Red.
But the issue I have with it is that the FBI had a number of months to garner any information that they had about the email scandal. The fact that they found this device from another person, not directly from Hillary, but these were classified information from what I've read. That's what they're looking into now, how classified was this material. That wasn't part of the original investigation. I find it almost suspect as to why Comey waited so long, first and foremost, to find this information. But two, why was the investigation closed so quickly if there was other material that they could have sourced? You know what I mean? It just seems very suspicious to me that it would be 11 days before an election that they would come out with this indictment. Or, not indictment, but this investigation. Yeah.
I have no doubt that Hillary Clinton is corrupt. She's been corrupt in other countries like Haiti and places like that. I have no doubt that she is corrupt, but proving it is a completely different scenario, and they haven't done it over and over and over again. They haven't done it. So whether or not there's been fuckery involved in them not proving it doesn't really matter because they haven't proved it. And you're much better off with her than you are with fucking Trump.
Well,
very true. Very true. Now, I do have a question for you though, but when you say corrupt, do you mean corrupt in that, political way? Politician way?
I mean corrupt in the sense of, okay, so I use this example. I use it often because for me, the real divide is between class and not really race. Like, I know people these days really like to do the identity politics thing, but the real divide between people is class. So
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. In Haiti, one of the largest suppliers of textile to the United States is the country of Haiti. The textile workers in Haiti were making 21 cents an hour. They had a big protest. They went to the government, and these are U.S. companies that are in there. They went to the government. The government said, okay, we're going to tell these companies they have to pay you 67 cents an hour. So everybody gets quiet. And they go back to work. Well, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, her department went to the Haitian government and put pressure on them to make the wage back down to 21 cents an hour. You can look at Snopes. If anybody doesn't believe me, this is factual stuff. I'm not making this up. You can go to Snopes and read it, or just read the transcripts yourself. So just Google it and you'll see that it's there. So not only does it show, I guess, a bit of racism because, they are all of color, these textile workers in Haiti, but it just shows a real lack of not giving a shit and corruption at its worst. Like, how could
I think I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
How could you not, like, that is the worst insidious corruption I could possibly think of. Haiti in the Western Hemisphere is the poorest country. They have the least out of the not out of the world, but in the Western Hemisphere, they are the fucking poorest. And for you to, like, they make mud cookies. Like, the kids, they pack mud on the beach and they let it dry out and they fucking eat it. And you're going to go there and force the government because you have American companies that want a larger profit. Like, how much did they pay her? I don't know how much those companies paid her because that wasn't part of the manuscript. Just the manuscript was that it was her department that went over there and stopped it.
Right. Examples like that is, guy, and I know I'm trying to defend her when she's really indefensible, right? But obviously she's a politician. She is a career politician. That's why I
don't have a problem with people saying that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't have a problem with people being career politicians. Like, people that say, oh, he's a career politician. Good. I'm fucking glad you don't go to your doctor and say, how long you been a doctor for?
Exactly.
I fucking 6 months.
I made that point on Facebook not too long ago.
Like, that's not
like how is that a bad thing?
It's what they do with it.
Exactly. With that, I guess I don't know. I guess I do agree with you. It's not racism. It's really just about, they, for the lack of a better term, they shit on, the powerless,
and that's corrupt.
Right. Right. And that's what that's where I was getting at. Like, is that what you mean by corrupt? Where you just don't give a fuck about, the powerless, hell, look what's going on in Dapple. Nobody's talking about that. And when I say nobody, I mean, we're so focused on Donald Trump and everything else that's going on, but Dapple's been going on for damn, how many weeks now? Months. And no one's talking about that. Well, the mainstream media, they're not talking about that because it's not in their interest. It's not a money maker. It's not going to bring in ratings right now. It's not going to generate any income. And that's how politicians think. If maybe they didn't line her pockets, literally, but somehow she benefited by that.
Yeah.
And you're saying that's where the corruption is.
And then
right, and I agree with you.
So phase 2, so that's phase 1. Phase 2 of corruption is the Clinton Foundation. Well, and I'm going to be the first one to say that the Clinton Foundation does do good in the world, and nobody should deny that. But who they get their money from, and the reasons why they get their money, and what it actually. So, same country, Haiti. They took a bunch of donations. They were supposed to build a bunch of shit, and they never built it. It just wasn't. The stuff wasn't built. So where did the money go? Because you actually had Haitians come to the U.S. and protest Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton because they didn't build what they said that they were going to build through the Clinton Foundation. So there's that, and then there's some stuff where technology was supposed to be shared between U.S. and Russia, and it was businesses that were going to be working together. So every business that got to go over, there was 28 businesses that got to be part of this deal. Every single one of them except for 2, so 26 of them had gave large donations to the Hillary Clinton Foundation or the Clintons Foundation. So it's just stuff like that. It reeks of,
Well, what about her
nepotism and
what about her campaign? I mean, in 2006, when she was running for the Senate, a senator of New York, she was fined. Her and her campaign funding were fined $35,000 for misappropriation of funds. I mean, this type of thing follows her throughout her career. It's not something that's new. They've talked about how she stuffs ballots. There's a whole lot of things coming out lately. But again, when you have a choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, what do you do?
Hillary's the only
the only choice. And like Bernie Sanders, for as much of an outlaw that he was, like compared to the other two, he wasn't status quo there. I've made this point many times that the U.S. called him a radical leftist, where in Canada or even in Germany, he's just a regular left-wing politician. There's nothing radical about his ideas. But he himself was a career politician, 25 years.
Right.
The career politician for me doesn't wash. That wouldn't be a reason why I wouldn't vote somebody, and that wouldn't be a reason why I would think somebody was corrupt. It's their actions when they're in there that make them corrupt or make it so that you could say, oh, they're a fucking career politician. Where, like, okay, you have a choice between somebody that's never fucking politicked in his life, is a fucking walking meme, is a fucking the complete like if you were gonna make a caricature that fuck can't even get it out, but a drawing, I guess, is what the meaning behind that is, of like the really fucking brash dumb American, it's gonna be Donald Trump. Like and all of his followers. And all of his followers, like the in your face fucking, I'm fucking the best, blah, everything's great, we're grand. I just can't see how that's gonna wash on the world stage. And like, I know everybody's saying, oh, if they vote in Hillary, the conspiracy theories are, oh, there's gonna be World War III, Putin's already setting up for it. No, that's just rhetoric. They actually want Donald Trump in because Donald Trump's a fucking buffoon, and we'll kowtow to them. And
here's a question. So I know being here, being in Europe and having the opportunity to speak to foreigners and there, I'm getting the outside look, of what of how people outside of the country is viewing us. I can see it in the way just, Sky News reports things, and the way BBC reports things, and all of the German news stations here, even though I don't speak German, but my wife are translating. So, this is how they report it. And it's really straightforward, right? There's it's news without any type of commentary, without any type of bias. And is it like that in Canada?
No, they're very anti-Trump.
Okay, so they reported with some bias.
Okay, so like,
but the bias is against Trump.
So like the CBC News, you're not going to see that type of bias. Like like they would just report on it because the CBC is actually pretty respected in the world of journalism for integrity. But I mean, like the ad that I heard on the radio, the news reports on the radio, they call him the Orange Man, or they're like, but they hate. They don't really like either of them. Like after that clip played today of Trump saying, "Oh, we're going to indict her," and everybody was cheering. The disc jockey was like, "Can't we just impeach both these turds already?" So, but I mean, like on CBC, they just tell the story the way it is.
Oh, no, I just got to say, I like one thing about Donald Trump. He's used 10% of his hair to cover 90% of his head. So that's one thing I kind of find funny.
Well, look, he's a I mean, I know you're joking, but that is actually like, that's Donald Trump. He's not a smart businessman. I don't see why people say that he's a smart businessman. He's just a smart brander. Go ahead. And that comb over, he knows that's his brand. So I agree with you. Like that's what it's mostly about. Because I don't get why that side thinks he's so brilliant at business. What Donald Trump does is he buy a business and then put it in a bankruptcy to make money from it. That's why he has so many bankruptcies.
Not only that, but like all of his real estate, he ripped off all the tradespeople that built him. Millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that's where, when I was talking about Hillary Clinton's corruption, I like to be pretty even-handed between the two of them. And that's where, because we don't have anything to go on as far as politics goes for Donald Trump, because he has fucking zero experience and he's betting for the biggest fucking office in all of human history. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous. But anyways, that's where I see his corruption, is that he'll just steal, cheat, lie to for his own gain. And
to make money.
And if Americans think that he's not in it for just him and his fucking inner circle, to which the Clintons are part of, you're fucking crazy if he thinks that he gives a shit about you at all. No matter how much he's pretending now to be like, oh, I've been around the U.S. I used to think one way, but now I care for these hardworking, struggling people. No, you don't. You'd rip them off. You'd step on their face if you had to.
Right. You can go back. You can go back years, and you will never see Donald Trump in an impoverished area. You'll never see him, engaging with the working class, with the poor. I don't even think I've ever seen a photo of him like feeding the homeless, like on a soup line.
Of course not.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
They're icky.
Unless it was on like Celebrity Apprentice or some shit, right? Like for his television show. But I don't think I've ever seen that. I was about to ask you guys, because I haven't done a show in months.
Okay.
So I haven't really gotten a chance to talk about Donald Trump or ask questions. So let me take over just for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, man.
Do you guys think that Donald Trump really, really want to be president?
Yes, I do.
Do you really think that? What about you, Ed?
I think at first, I think he was there to be there for his brand, to his name. And then I think when people started dropping out of the race on the GOP side, I think he really thought, well, I got a chance at this.
I think when I say yes, he does, I think that as soon as the people started cheering for him and you get those women in the crowd that are like, Donald, you can grab my pussy. It's all a real fucking ego boost for him. And I mean, like, the guy is fucking ego. Like, even Donald Trump supporters have to admit the guy is fucking just one big giant fuck you ego. But
that's what they like about him, though.
Exactly. So what better fucking position? What better position could you get for a guy that has fucking that size of an ego than to be the fucking president of the United States, the most famous person in the world? And that's what he loves. He loves fame. And the president, and this joke has been done like many, many times, so it's not my joke. The president of the United States is so fucking famous that the girls that give him a blowjob become world known famous, right?
Right.
So name somebody other than Brad Pitt's wives that sucked his dick. You can't do it, but you can name at least 3 girls that sucked Bill Clinton's dick.
Yeah, but I think the real draw of Donald Trump, what gets people interested in Donald Trump, it comes from 3 separate areas. I think
his hair, his orange skin, and his fucking unworldly small penis.
No, I think first one is that he doesn't care if he's right or wrong. He says what he says. He doesn't back down, and he fights against the political correctness of the day. That's
what
a draw.
Terrible reason to like somebody.
I know, because everything you just named are things that we, as an educator, we try to teach kids not to be.
I know. No. But it comes from and I think this has to do with the fact
those are horrible characteristics.
But what is funny hair, orange skin, and an unworldly small penis?
No. You see, it's what Ed just said. Because in a nutshell, what Ed said is, you can't admit you wrong, so you'll never say you're sorry. And what was the other one?
And the fact that he's willing to step up to the plate against the political correctness.
Oh yeah, the political correctness, which is truthfully at the core of that is, I want to be able to call a black guy nigger, and at the core
his
of
version of it.
Well, that because when people say political correctness, is they want to be able to call black people nigger. They want to be able to call Mexicans wetback. They want to be able to call women honey, right? They want to use at the core. They want to be able to use the language from the 50s. They don't want to be censored in any way.
No, I don't. I think that for maybe
that's not what you mean. Okay, well that's what I mean. But go ahead.
No. I think that is a portion of it, and I think that's like the half the Tea Partiers type thing that cling to him, that type of movement. But I'm talking more about the Bernie or Busters that have switched over to Donald Trump, the millennials that have gone, and this new faction of right called the alt-right.
The what? The Bernies that are now supporting Trump? What is this?
There are some Bernie.
That doesn't politically, ideologically, it doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense at all. And I always say to people that, anybody that's divided, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Ed.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Anybody that's divided right now between Hillary and Trump, I don't understand them. I don't understand how their mind works. I understand when like me being divided between Hillary and Bernie, because essentially they both want the country to go in the same direction I do. But if you're divided, if you were a Bernie supporter and you moved over to Donald Trump, it's like Dave's just said, like, what the hell is going on? Like ideological, God damn it, how do you say that word?
Ideological.
Ideological wise, where do you stand? Because these are, they want these two candidates literally want the country to go in two separate directions. So
you're just two different people. Fuck.
Yeah. Not just that, but more about, what they want, the policy wise, what they want, what they stand for, and what they, want, and how they want and what they want to accomplish and how they want to accomplish it is two different things. So I don't understand,
and I've stood back, and I mean, I'm not a Trump supporter by any stretch, and I'll be open and honest. I tried to understand the ideology. I went through their videos, I tried to go through into the mindset of how they could justify, this kind of
Trump or the Conservative Party as a whole.
No, the Trump,
particular Trump.
Yeah, the Trump phenomenon. I wanted to go and really look into it. And there is a new faction of the left in the United States right now that is not progressive as they claim, but regressive, wanting to bring back, a separation of not only race, but gender. They want to make sure, they try to say that it's a progression, but it's not. It's a regression back. You want to segregate classrooms based on ethnicity. I mean, that's something that, Martin Luther King fought and died for. You know what I mean? He wanted to have everybody integrated together as one people, which we are. We're human beings, and there is that groundswell that is happening in that regressive left. And as a function of the pushback, there is a portion of the left that is saying, well, this guy is saying rhetoric that combats that, and Hillary's not saying, is more agreeing with some of the rhetoric that this regressive left is coming up with. Well, they already screwed Bernie over, which was my candidate, and these regressives don't represent me. Hillary is starting to go along with these regressives in some respects. So my only option is to go with the Donald Trump, who's actually the only candidate that's actually fighting this. Now, I don't agree with
that's crazy.
but I don't agree.
Okay. The dichotomy of that is like, because you could like, but I would fucking vote for Jerry, what's his name? Gary Johnson, the fucking,
right.
And I'm a social democrat, and for me to vote libertarian would be like really, really insane, but I would vote libertarian before I voted for Donald Trump. Right. So you still have Jill Stein. You still have,
right.
You know what? You could vote for that fucking boot on head wizard guy before you voted.
We have like right now there's not credible candidates, but we have something like 40 or 50, maybe even more. My numbers might be off, but there's a lot of people running for president that that people could move to, not just Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. That's just like the two they talk about. But there's a lot more candidates out there that you can look at. But Americans aren't going to do that anyway because they're lazy.
Right.
They're only gonna, they're only gonna focus on whatever the media tells them to focus on.
Yeah. And the political system in the U.S. is really set. Like, you may say that there's other parties, but it's a pat on the head. There. You can have
right. It's still not a
it's not a viable. Well, you live in a country that has more than two viable political parties, right?
Yeah, political parties, right?
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm just trying to justify their position. I'm not saying that I understand it or I agree with it. I'm just trying to justify and understand.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that. That wasn't directed towards you, Ed. That was directed towards the people that have that ideological stance. I think that, okay, so that's the portion of the voter that is millennial, that was, say, a Bernie supporter, and they're disenfranchised, and they're like, fuck the system, the DMC, they fucked us, fuck Hillary Clinton, I'm gonna go vote for the guy that's gonna fuck me even worse. Okay, sure. The part that I would understand is if you're already a Republican voter, and for some reason you think that Trump has a good plan, which we don't know what it is, it's just gonna be better. I can understand that person voting. Like, I wouldn't do it myself, but I get it. Yeah. Right? Like, they're a right-wing voter. But for somebody to say,
I'm sorry, because it's kind of what I'm doing with Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, Hillary is a more rational and qualified candidate. But I'm voting along my party lines because she is going to take she's going to, and hopefully she's going to enact policies that I agree with. So I kind of get the conservative that say, hey, I hate Trump, but he is, my party's choice, and he's going to do everything that I agree with as far as, policy wise. So no, I get that too.
Well, see, that was
if that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that is
yeah.
Yeah, that's part two of what I was saying. That's the other phenomenon part is there's a lot of conservatives that are frustrated with the establishment of the establishment candidates of the GOP. They're frustrated that they're usually like wet noodles. They're not very good. They're, you got a lot of this Bible belting, thumping, crazy wingnuts that have taken over the party, and it's just become a colossal fuck up. And so a lot of them think the only way that I can keep the Democrats out is to support a person like Donald Trump. So you get that. That's a second. But then there's a third option that really baffles my mind, and I don't get it. It is when you see a group of people who were that had no affiliation to either party, and then you see them gravitating to this person because he was on TV, because he was a celebrity on TV, and they think, well, because he's a celebrity and we get, everybody follows this person like a cult. He's on the media every 5 seconds. People are creating memes, so he has to be important in some respects. So they're gravitating towards him. That part I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand this connection to a celebrity figure that you live vicariously through. I don't understand that concept. But
yeah, that's American culture. That is, God, I don't even know. I don't know how to explain it. And I've heard other
the Kardashians.
It's kind of right. It's the Kardashian, right? You're looking at Kim, like Kim Kardashian is famous, and she's this, she's incredibly wealthy, and she doesn't really have a talent. It's only because, enough people said that she was great, right?
She's famous for being famous.
Well, right. That's it. You're famous for being famous. And that opens up doors, for opportunities for her to get more famous and even richer. Well, and Americans love that. That's why we have so many damn reality shows.
Right. But I mean, can you imagine? I mean, Kim Kardashian got famous because she had a sex tape.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it point blank. No one knew who she was until she had, and I forget the guy who she slept with.
Ray J.
It is Ray J.
Yeah.
Ray J.
And
but go ahead.
but I mean that basicity that the reason why it was a celebrity figure having sex with an unknown person that goes on the internet magically, no one knows how, which is hilarious.
Well, Ray J was actually the famous one.
That's what I'm saying.
In that, right.
And that person, so she didn't have to do anything. She just leached off his fame and became famous because of a sex tape and because it became a internet sensation. And that's what I'm saying. Like this type of
Hillary Clinton should do a sex tape.
Yeah, like I think that would be the best thing by now.
Or Bernie.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Kind of a sex tape. You could have dicked some bitches down on some porn. No, like the real way that people should vote, and you vote however you want. You don't have to take my advice. Is I think you should have a look at each party's platform. Have a look at the person running. So even the independent parties, find the platform that best suits your moral and your ethical stance and the way that you want your country to be run and the way that you think people should be treated. And then take a look at the candidate themselves. Are they a demagogue? Yes, Donald Trump is a demagogue. Are they a corrupt career politician? Yes, Hillary Clinton is those things. Are they anti-science? Yes, Jill Stein is anti-science. And then you have to deduce which one you find the worst, right? Like, is being anti-vaxxer worse than being a demagogue? No, it's not. Like, it isn't. Not in this scenario. Because your country can get in real trouble, especially, the military might of the planet with a demagogue at the helm. Like that, you guys are scared of Hillary Clinton. I'm scared of Donald Trump.
Yeah. I've said that many times. And again, I only have to say this to Americans, because every single, and I do mean like every, European, whether they were German or French or, Italian, doesn't even matter. They're afraid of Donald Trump. Only Americans, go, oh no, they're the same. Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, we're in trouble either way. I was like, no, we're only in trouble if Donald Trump is in office. And I don't mean for the country itself. I mean how America will relate to the rest of the world. What America will become on the world stage. That's how we're in trouble with Donald Trump. So you're right. I mean, Donald Trump is dangerous for more reasons than Hillary Clinton can ever be.
Okay. Yeah, and he's inexperienced. I'm gonna give you two the closing word on it.
Okay. Well, I just want to bring up one item before. I don't think that any either politician that gets in. Okay, I'm going to say politician at this point. Either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, either one of those people get in. I think it's only for 4 years. I don't think they get a second term. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think after 4 years, I think there's going to be a major shift in the zeitgeist. I really do, because I think that there's a groundswell that's starting to move in your country, and it might not be for the best, but I think there's going to be a 4-year term. I don't think they're going to get a second term.
But you think we'll organize that in 4 years? Because I'm seeing a lot of push for multi-political platform, multi-political system. And I don't pretend to really know that much about politics. I don't know how long it would take to make something like that a reality. And I 4 years, like for me, I'm thinking that will be a reality in 8 years, not the next election, but maybe 2024.
Well,
but are you saying it's possible? Because that would be great.
I think,
and I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah, well, I think the libertarians right now had their best shot ever to put a candidate forward that was viable, and they put Gary Johnson.
Didn't.
Yeah, they didn't. This was the election to put your best candidate forward. So
had they run Jesse Ventura, what do you think would have happened?
I think Jesse Ventura would have been on that stage in the debates.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. People, like, he did very well for Minnesota. Minnesota was actually run, when he was governor, it was pretty decent, and he's actually pretty, like, for a guy that's really a conspiracy guy, he's pretty socially aware.
But I think that's what would kill him, though. The
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that
Minnesota, like, we don't really consider Minnesota like, a
we'll
country.
take it.
I'm sorry, a state.
We'll take it. There is a city in Minnesota named Canada. I think the fact that maybe he was sergeant at arms for the Mongols Bike Club is probably more damning than the conspiracies. But I mean, like, why would people be upset about his conspiracies when you have fucking people that believe in sky daddies and demons and the devil is actually inner
You're
working?
trying to understand the psyche of Americans, dude. It's fucking possible.
The first thing that need, like, before more parties, more viable parties are added to the U.S. System, before it's no longer two-party, what needs to happen is you need to get the money out of politics, and you need to have voter reform. Like, no more college, none of that bullshit. Get rid of that, and get the money out of politics. Like, do what we do. We fund our elections here. And then, like, so, and also corporations are not allowed. So you can donate to a party, but there's a cap, and it has to be a private citizen. It can't be a corporation. So there's no super PACs or any of that bullshit.
But that won't happen in the next 4 years.
Right. No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I was doing. That's what I would do before I wanted more parties involved, or like a bigger party process. Is the very first thing that needs to happen in the U.S. is money out of politics, and then voter reform. Then you can worry about getting more parties in.
I think after this election, you're going to see the GOP implode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say there has to be, I don't know if there will be, but there has to be a major shakeup in the DNC. There is some major corruption going on through the DNC, and especially what they did with Bernie. But they really need to clean up their act to to put forth better viable candidates. I mean, Hillary Clinton, this is her third bite at the apple. If she doesn't get it this time, she'll never get it. I think that she really needs, if the DNC had a person like, Elizabeth Warren, step up to the plate, she'd be an amazing president. She'd be an amazing, leader of your country. But you need candidates like her that are willing to step up to the plate.
Right, but she's not going to step up to the plate until 2024 if she even has aspirations to be president.
Yeah.
Because Hillary will run in 2020, and it's not, the DNC is not.
If she's alive by then.
Yeah, I don't think her health is all that great. I think this is her last kick at the cat, and I think I don't think she'll be running in the next after the 4 years here.
So you think she will not run, not that?
Yeah.
She'll be just so unpopular.
If she loses, then she won't run again. If she wins, I think if she's healthy, she'll run again, but she'll probably lose.
But here's the problem with that, and again, because this is how Americans think, right? For them, like, perception is everything. If Hillary Clinton, if what you're saying is true about her health, right? And Hillary Clinton, this first term takes a lot out of her. It weighs on her really hard. And she doesn't run in 2020, then whoever's on the Republican ticket will win.
Well, look at what happened. She was like speaking gibberish in that one thing, and then she's like, in the next video, she was like falling, and they were having to catch her. Look how young fucking Obama was when he came in. You look at him now, he looks like an old ass man. It's only been 8 years. He's all gray, he's wrinkled. He looks like fucking shit. He's like father time compared to when he fucking came into office, a young spry.
Hey, look, hey, I know a lot of girls that will fuck Obama.
Yeah, but that's because he's the most famous man in the world.
No. If he wasn't if he wasn't president, Obama would still be getting some tang, dude.
I don't know about that, buddy.
but no, I mean, the biggest problem,
Professor Obama.
But I get your point, though. I get your point.
I just she. Okay, so I'm not one of those conspiracy guys. It's like, fuck, she's dying right now, but like she's been acting a little funny. She probably had an infection at that point, pneumonia. My father-in-law's going through pneumonia right now.
And she look, she actually had like 3 falls while she was Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
But
she's old, man. She's not young, eh? Like,
well, but it's not just that. I mean, Ronald Reagan was old. Normally our presidents are older. Clinton and Obama, they were young compared to the other president. John McCain is old. And we don't really question.
John McCain will outlive every motherfucker on that motherfucking panel. The guy ate cockroaches in a fucking hole in the jungle for fucking years, survived, came back to the United States and whooped some ass.
Yeah.
But no, I mean,
but with Hillary, I don't really know. I don't know about her health. But if what you're saying is true, right? And she do not run, that's what everyone's gonna speculate, is that she wasn't up for the job, and that's gonna reflect badly on, the DNC and whoever is the Republican nominee. They will take the White House. And if they hadn't already imploded, like Edward say, by then, that would be the start of building the GOP back up. Strategic wise, she has to complete 2 terms.
Right.
If we're really gonna get rid of the GOP or the GOP becomes something else, something hopefully more progressive. They don't have to be, in line with every Democratic policy, but if they're going to be something less, something more tolerant to the country, and recognize that there's a melting pot and not just white men in America, then Hillary has to have 2 terms.
But actually, she's 68 years old now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she's not. Even though we'll put her health issues down to pneumonia, which is what they claim. Okay, I'll grant that. This strain.
I don't really believe that. I don't believe it was pneumonia, but
no, and I don't either. But we'll just give her the benefit of the doubt. Being the president of the United States of America, it has to be. Well, just looking at the pictures of Obama's first term and his second term, how much it weighs on him. Like David said, he's gone from being a rather handsome,
easy on the handsome. I didn't say handsome. I just said young guy.
Yeah, young individual to someone who looks like he's twice his age. You know what I mean? He's added on 20 years.
But he is naturally aging though.
Yeah, but in 8 years, he's put on probably 20 years of aging. It's a stressful job. Especially when you have a Congress and a Senate that is totally run by the GOP. That is really going to add stress on you.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, anyways, we're gonna move on. Don't think that we're just gonna fucking pick on the U.S. because in the next segment, Europe and Canada, particularly Sweden, Denmark, and Canada, are gonna get their asses ripped apart as well. And we'll be right back.
It's thought around 300 Swedish citizens have travelled abroad to join jihadi fighters and are now, some of them are involved in controversial plans to deal with over 100 of them that have returned. That's because officials in the city of Lund are looking into ways to rehabilitate the former militants by helping them find work and accommodation.
There may be criticism, but I think that you should get the same help as others who seek help from us. We can't say that because you made a wrong choice. You have no rights to come back and live in our society.
The plan includes providing the returning jihadists with housing grants, driving lessons and even paying off their debts. Good idea or not, do you think? Well, we'll leave that to your thoughts. But in a separate development, Swedish prosecutors have ruled that the flag of the Islamic State terror group be legal in that country. That may have you scratching your head. Here's why. A young Syrian man used the ISIL flag as his Facebook profile picture. A complaint was made, and police handed the case to prosecutors. That case was eventually dropped with a ruling that his action didn't constitute incitement of hatred. The prosecutor thought the ISIL flag couldn't be seen as an expression of disrespect against any particular group, as the terrorists disrespect everyone. Meantime, the man himself argued that the flag was an Islamic symbol and was being misused by the jihadists. Political commentator Danny Vance told us the use of the flag should be banned.
What it actually says is that a liberal Western democracy in the form of Sweden thinks it's okay to fly the flag of the Islamic State Caliphate. I think what this says is that essentially Swedish democracy has rolled over. If Sweden wants to become part of the global caliphate, this is exactly the way it goes. But if many Swedish people will, of course, be appalled by this decision and will want to see common sense prevail, and that can only happen if the Islamic State flag, that rag of barbarism, is banned and not allowed to be on a Facebook page or indeed be anywhere. This is not freedom of speech. This is craven political cowardice.
Yeah, I agree with the last guy talking. Nice accent on him too, eh? Wish I my stupid Canadian. What the fuck, Sweden? Seriously, like, they should be treated like anybody else that's made a mistake. Do you not understand what ISIL fighters are doing when they're over there? They're raping, they're pillaging. You know, they have sex slaves. Like, this is not. Would you offer a rapist, a murderer, somebody that kills children, somebody that beheads somebody in your society? Would you seriously offer a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swedish person a fucking driving lessons, a place to live, pay off their debts if they did any of those things? Fuck no, you wouldn't. They wouldn't. It's insane. This isn't fucking sane.
It is. I'm almost speechless. I don't even know. Like, I'm trying my hardest to kind of understand the frame of thought here. Like, what do they think they're going to achieve? You know, look, if you sympathize with ISIS and went so far as to travel and be part of the organization and do everything that you just described, Dave, then you're not a mentally stable person, you know, and you're not even a damn, like it actually goes beyond just evil, right? I mean, you're obviously someone who is so disturbed. It's like a mixture of being, you know, disturbed and evil, right?
Yeah. So you throw in the combination of their, I don't really believe in the term evil. I'm sure you don't either. Like, you throw in that he's maybe a little bit unstable, or doesn't even really have to be unstable, but he's sadistic. He's a sadistic person.
Maybe that's a better word.
He's a fucking, he's a cunt in reality. Okay, so he's a cunty guy, and you throw in those Islamic views and a belief in God, and then you send him over there, and you know, we've seen what happened. I don't need to explain.
Right, we all know
listeners. We all know what happens over there, and we all know what's been going on over there. And then for a Western country to not only let them in when they come back, but then to say, we're going to pay off your fucking debts when you have motherfucking homeless people? Fuck you, Sweden.
And here's
seriously,
here's the rationale, and I fucking think this is exactly what they think. This is what has been in the media. This is what the president has to say. This is the rationale behind this. I don't agree with it, but this is what it is that they believe that by integrating these people back into their communities, making them basically doing a cult, you know how what those people do to break up cults, like, you know, they do an intervention.
Right. They're treating it like that.
They're treating
when it's not that.
Right. And what they think is that once they can deprogram these kids, and I'm just going to call them kids because, for lack of a better term, these young men coming back, if they can deprogram them, they can use these men or young boys, whatever they are, to combat ISIS. They can, and I think it's a wrong mindset to have, but I think that's what they're thinking, and that's from what I've read.
Do it another way. Do it a goddamn another way. Figure out another way.
Do you think there is a way? Not even just another way, but do you think there is a way? Because again, like we both agree, whether we want to use the term evil or not, but we're talking about people who obviously lack humanity. To do something like that, you're talking about somebody like, that lack. We're not just talking about someone who was brainwashed.
I'm not talking about rehabilitating them when I say do it another way. I don't give a fuck about rehabilitating them, and I don't give a fuck about the people that like if you're one of the people, and I doubt you're listening, but if you're one of the people that are fucking dumb enough to listen to fucking Akbar tell you a fucking story, then you're going to fucking travel halfway around the fucking world and rape and murder and behead people. Fuck off. Don't let them back in the country. If you
let them in, they should go straight to jail.
I don't even want my taxpayers to pay for that shit. So it's like, you're not allowed back in. You're an ISIS fighter, go live in ISIS territory. Too fucking
so that's what
bad.
You're saying. They need, once you leave, they should.
Once you leave, you are not allowed fucking back in. And if you sneak back in, you're gonna fucking be taken to court and you're gonna be tried for goddamn treason, because Canada is at war with ISIS right now. We're bombing them. We may not be on the ground, but we're above them in the air, dropping missiles on them. Definition: dropping missiles on somebody, we are at war with them. You are treasonous. And that's just us, not Sweden. I'm just talking about my country right now. Right. So if you sneak back in, you are tried for treason. That's it.
I'm going to just take a step back for a second. I think that these people that think that they can rehabilitate these young men are misguided.
Naive.
Not just naive, they're totally misgiven. But what I think it sets up is more dangerous. I think what it sets up is that you get rewarded for being an ISIS fighter. And by giving them a reward, I get to go and fight for the Islamic State.
Or at least forgiven.
Yeah, and I'm going to come back and I get my debts paid off. I get free accommodations.
Well, goddamn driving. Like, what the fuck are you giving them? Man.
What else that tells me too is if I was ISIS and I'm having countries bomb the hell out of me, so my fighters can be saved. I ship them back to the countries where they come from to regroup, run havoc in the countries that they send back, and then go back to the ISIS field and be fresh to start again. I think that this needs to be, the snake's head got to be cut off somewhere, and I think these people gave up their rights to citizenship of the country they lived in the day they stepped on a plane to go fight for ISIS. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. And again, I just keep going back to, I know you just explained it, their frame of thought, but I don't know. I still can't connect the dots.
That's because you're not a cunt, right? Like, you have to be a proper kind of cunt to do that kind of stuff. It has to be, and it's their indoctrination, right? It's part of their religion too. Like, I just can't see a thinking rational person being convinced that, like, you could never convince me in the name of science to go over to another country and behead somebody or rape a woman.
Look, you couldn't convince me or you or Ed in the name of anything. You couldn't convince us to just kill without, our lives being in danger, right? Because we're human beings.
Yeah, my family, if I had to protect my family, I could, my sons, I could kill.
Right.
I could kill. But otherwise, I don't want to kill anybody.
Because we're human beings.
Yeah.
And check this out. If we would kill, if we would murder, we would go to jail. We wouldn't get, our bills paid off,
Yeah, it's crazy. Have you ever had a dream that you killed somebody?
No.
I had a dream once that I killed somebody.
So I guess you're not as human as I think you are.
I woke up. No, I am. I woke up and I was like, oh my fucking God, what have I done?
Wait, how did you kill him?
With a skateboard.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Do you skate?
I used to.
Are you a
I used to.
Okay.
I'm
that makes sense.
40 damn years old. Like, I don't.
Yeah, all my dreams are about sex, man. I don't like the majority of them are about sex.
I woke up in sheer panic that I had killed somebody, and like I felt terror, like for the first 30 seconds, because the dream, it was one of those really lucid, vivid dreams. So I was like, and I felt it made me feel fucking.
Did you
terrible.
know the person in your dream that you know?
Yes, I did. It's somebody that I didn't like, but I still felt terrible.
Oh wow, yeah. So you felt terrible for dreaming about murdering someone.
Yes.
And we're talking about people who consciously made the decision to
nobody ever gave me anything for free. So.
Right. And we're talking about people who consciously make the decision to go and, like you said, rape and behead innocent people.
They answer the call. They answer the call.
But they get to come back and be forgiven. That's the part that I think I'm having the most trouble with, because all of it means it's okay. We forgive you.
Yeah.
So there's no consequence to what you've done. Like, I think that's where I'm having the most problem with.
And is Sweden part of NATO? Is Sweden in NATO? Yeah. So what the fuck, Sweden? What are you doing?
But one of the things that I really get mad about, and I really have to really take it out here, is that we're rewarding people who have committed acts of genocide and rape and torture. And what are we doing about the victims? What are we doing? Yeah. What are we saying about them?
Totally.
Like these individuals have done the worst acts known to humanity, and the victims are left as they were in to rot. And it's disgusting. And I think that any person that does something like this not only should be held liable for what they've done, they should be executed for what they've done.
Yeah. And I know that we were at war for 11, 12 years. The U.S., you guys are still like, I guess we are at war bombing ISIS, but I just mean like the initial war after the World Trade Centers. We went from 2001 until 11 or 12, Edward? What was it, 2011?
Yeah, well, no, even further. You started pulling out in 2012, 2013.
Okay. So I think everybody's been home for just over a year, though, right?
Yeah. They're still
other than the guys that went back.
Yeah.
Can we not just come together and figure this shit out and just go over there and squash ISIS? Like, honestly, you can't between Britain, Canada, U.S., fucking France, Australia. You guys can't come together and just fucking, like, I know we're all tired of this war. Like, and I'm included. I'm sick of talking about Islam. I'm sick of fucking hearing about it. I'm sick of hearing about ISIS. But I mean, like, come on, we can't figure this out. Like, we beat fucking Germany and the Japanese in World War II, and they were way better than fucking ISIS. Like,
yeah, I think the difference here is, because of the terrain. Like, we can't beat ISIS because of the way, this war is being fought. Because of where
we're not even fighting them, though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, technically,
we're bombing. How is that better?
We're bombing, but that's still fighting. I mean, it is. Right. It's not a two-way fight, but
how is that better?
We're still.
How is that better? How is it better?
It's not better. It's definitely not better. But I thought I read like a couple of days ago that we were closing in on ISIS. That not that this was about not that it's close to being over. Because I don't think even if we're closing in right now as we speak, and we destroy them today, the like the spirit of ISIS, the idea of ISIS, that's going to linger, I think, for years. Like,
okay, I have an argument for that, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I do have an argument against that. Okay, so what I care about right now, stopping, is the treatment of the Yazidi teenage female. 8-year-old female. I care about stopping innocent people being beheaded right now. What comes after that? You worry about that then. But to sit back idly by and watch girls being sold on an open market when we could stop it, literally we could, is insane. It is insane.
The difference between this war and, say, World War II is that as horrifying as Hitler was, and I got to preface this, as horrible as that man was, he didn't gird his army with innocent people. He did, when German soldiers fought, they fought as German soldiers. These Islamic terrorists, these Islamists, use innocent victims as shield.
Mm-hmm.
And it is our love of life that prevents us from mowing them down.
Right. And I was going to make that point too. And to answer your question, Dave, no, I'm with you. You know, I care about stopping them now. I guess I was just only making a point that you know, we would stop them today, we would annihilate them today. But you know, there has to be some sort of contingency plan to whatever's going to happen after that, because I know
you would have to police the region. I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah.
You would have to stay. And I've said this before, you could go in there, you could stop it right now, but you would have to stay. And when you stayed, you wouldn't just stay as like a military and be like a dick to everybody. You would do things like build schools, build hospitals, get grocery stores. You wouldn't force them to have a Western life. They could still have their life of being an Islamic whatever, or you know, Muslims or whatever they wanted to do, but do humanitarian things with the soldiers that are over there. And yeah, I know there would be casualties, and I know that there would still be you know, terrorist acts, but I just think that we didn't. George Bush went into Iraq. That's what really spawned ISIS, was the Iraqi war. It wasn't the Afghani war. So we kind of started it, right?
No,
we should probably finish it.
No, ISIS is not just a response to the invasion of Iraq, which is a false narrative that's being propagated. They just filled into the vacuum. They started much before the invasion of Iraq. They just filled the vacuum that was left by the troops retreating from Iraq.
The Iraqi left the opening. Iraq left the opening. I know it was predicted a long time. Yeah. It was predicted a long time ago by people like Christopher Hitchens and other people. But the vacuum, like you said, in Iraq left the opening for them to move in
because of the actions of Bush invading Iraq.
Yes.
Well, right. I mean, Bush invading Iraq. Okay. The problem was there was no real plan of engagement. This was almost like what he thought is what they thought in World War II. You go in, get the job done, get the fuck out. When you're doing a campaign like this into a country like Iraq, where you have, Turkey on one hand wanted to go into Iraq anyway. Iran on the other side wanted to go in, and the only thing stopping him was this ruthless dictator. And you pluck out that ruthless dictator, and then you start plucking out your troops, saying that you've beaten them, then you create a vacuum where these two groups start to merge, okay, onto this one piece of turf. And then you have, like, these really fundamentalist factions like ISIS that see their opportunity to take this massive culture. The problem is with Bush was his short-sightedness. This was a conflict that needed to stay. And I sound horrible. I sound like a freaking warmonger because I wouldn't want this in the first place. But if you're going to take such an action, which they did, for the next foreseeable future, you would need to have full military in there.
Which is what Dave just said. Like, if we would destroy ISIS now, we would have to leave a presence there.
We would have to stay.
You're right. Yeah.
And police them. And, you let their society run the way it's going to run, but you do humanitarian things. You build hospitals, schools, whatever. And if the fundamentalist assholes decided that they were going to step in and say that girls couldn't go to school, then that's when our policing would step in. I know it sounds terrible either way, like me being like, oh, my country should be over there in your country because you guys don't know how to behave, and you're not behaving because we're over there killing you. Like, I know it sounds fucking ridiculous, but the situation is what it is. Like, it's already it's beyond the point of boiling. Like, the water's already going over and making noise on the element as you're cooking. Like, it's well beyond that. You can't just leave it alone. And like, the people that think that you can just just leave the Middle East alone and everything, you can't leave it alone at this point. Like,
and I think the Iraqi people deserve more than what we gave them. The Iraqi people deserve to have a place that's theirs, that's safe, that they can have a culture that thrives. I mean, realistically, Baghdad was the hub of human civilization before the rise of this militant version of Islam for 1400 fucking years ago. So you're talking about the reason why we have Aristotle and Socrates' words is because the Persians who inhabited Baghdad kept those things while Christians were burning our book.
Our math is like our
algebra
math symbols or algebra.
So these people have a great heritage that was subsumed by a vicious ideology that needs to stop. We have to stop this ideology from taking over. But the bigger issue, the broader issue as I see it, is this apologetics that's going on for Islam worldwide. And you're seeing it worldwide. You're seeing it in the United States, you're seeing it in Canada, you're seeing it in Sweden, you're seeing it in Norway, you're seeing it in England, you're seeing it in Germany, you're seeing it in France. There's this apology that not all Muslims are jihadists. I agree. They're not. But
where do you think that's coming from? I didn't mean to cut you off because I just thought you were about to say something else. Yeah. But to both of you, what do you think? Because you say there's this worldwide apology, but where do you think that's stemming from?
First and foremost, it stems from the Iraq invasion. I really do think that. And
no. I mean, this push to be tolerant and understanding and
a really good PR campaign done by a group of Muslim Americans called CARE or CAR, whatever they're called.
Right, yeah.
They're the ones that came up with the term.
I don't think I'm phrasing my question right, so I guess I'm gonna just say it.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I think it's fear.
I'm trying to phrase this in the best way.
Because they're brown people and people.
No, I think it's fear.
Yeah, I think it's fear as well.
Really?
I really say I think it's fear.
I think it's fear.
Yeah.
You're trying to you're being extra tolerant towards this group of people that if you anger them, they will kill you.
Right. And Europe is seeing an extreme portion of they're receiving an extreme large amount of this abuse. Like when you talk about Denmark, for instance, and Denmark had a bunch of cartoonists, okay, they were before Charlie Hebdo. In 2006, they had cartoons insulting Muhammad. And a large group of ambassadors from different countries, Islamic,
shanked them up.
Well, no, they didn't kill them, but what they did was
there was Danish cartoonists that were killed, though.
Yeah, that was after
the Danish. No, I thought the Danish was before. No, the Danish cartoonists that was before Charlie Hebdo.
That was before Charlie. Hebdo.
But they weren't killed at that time. What happened was that the Danish embassies worldwide, especially in Islamic countries, majority countries, were burnt. There were actually Danish people or people that they thought were Danish that were beaten and killed around the globe. The Charlie Hebdo is the only one that I really know of that were actually slaughtered first. That were really...
No, there was some Danish
Van Gogh
cartoon drawers that were killed in the streets. The guy was stabbed up.
No, that was the Danish. Vincent Van Gogh's great grandson or something like that. He did a video and he got stabbed in the street because he was making a video about how Islam exploits women, and he got stabbed in the middle of the street for his video documentary.
I thought it was okay. I was wrong. I'm mistaken. I've been blaming Islam for killing Danish cartoonists that I didn't know for all these fucking years. Who gives a fuck?
But no.
I guess like fear is part of it, but like the whole Islamophobia is a really good campaign that they've made up a word, and they're like, they probably looked at fucking sound like an asshole. They probably looked at how gays did it because with homophobia, and they were like, yeah, so they're completely accepted and blah blah blah, and they just moved in with that. But I mean, like, there's already religious bigotry, so we already have a word for it. So if you don't like somebody solely because of their religion, and you have an irrational thought or hatred of them, it's called religious bigotry. You're a bigot. Like, there's no need to make up a new word, Islamophobia.
But
It just isn't.
But the Islamophobia is used to shut down conversation.
Exactly. And the group that came up with it, I've only ever read it, so I've never actually had anybody say it to me. I think it's called CARE. Anyways, they're linked to the Muslim Brotherhood. It's a US PR campaign.
That is the organization CARE.
CARE. Okay. Yeah.
You're right.
So they're the ones that came up with it. It's a complete PR deal. And again, the maybe further left than me, or I'll say regressive left people, they latched onto that. So when you criticize Islam, or if you're speaking the way that we've been speaking, the three of us tonight, we would be called Islamophobic. Like for this, like 100%, like CARE would, and people like Steve Shives would call us Islamophobic. There's people like lots of atheists for what we've said. Like they would blame everything. They would blame everything solely on the U.S. and none of it would be the fault. And that's probably what's going on with the fucking. Now that I think about it, the Swedish government, they're like, damn, America, fuck you.
My biggest issue, though, with that is that Islamophobia means absolutely nothing. It's a vacuous word. It's anti-Muslim bigotry. Yes, that happens. People are actually morons. There are humans out there that actually are bigots. When I'm speaking or critiquing Islam in general, I'm talking about an ideology. And ideologies have to be questioned. They have to be... that's part of who we are as human beings. We, balk at authority figures. This is what we do. This is how we gain knowledge. And to stifle that conversation where we're saying there's some massive bad ideas with this religion. And, we have to accomplish, what we're trying to do is accomplish where people take that religion less seriously and actually make it more into the modern world, which a lot of people are in the world. A lot of Muslim people are doing it. So it's not just me. There's people that are Muslim that are trying to reorganize this religion so that it doesn't have this room for this radical element to be attached to it. And those are the type of people that we need to be propping up, and not these psychopaths coming back from their killing fields and bringing them back into our communities as if nothing had happened. That's the difference, where I see the difference is.
I agree.
If you look at, the most Islamic countries, it's usually like where the most human rights violations are. The women are treated the worst. And as the population of people that follow Islam grows in your country, the more these problems are brought up. So like in France, where in the Western world they have the highest population of Muslims. I'm sure Germany's way up there now after the exodus from the Middle East to Europe. What do you think it is about Islam that the more the population of Muslims in your country is, the louder it gets and the more it wants the country it's in to kowtow to it?
You want to take it, Edward? Because I won't be able to answer that without sounding Islamophobic.
Well, I mean, to me, and I don't care. Call me Islamophobic if you want. I really could care less. The biggest issue that I have is that I think when you talk about the bigger the population of Islam, the bigger the population, the more these incidents occur. I think it's because they come in as a minority and they get to claim the rights. Because Western society, the way we work, is that the majority does not drown out the minority. We give them equal status in our societies. And that is it's a great thing to manipulate. And I'm not saying all Muslims do this, because let me get that right. You're talking about the radical few that want a global caliphate, okay? They see the way the Western world works. They'll infiltrate it using our own system against us.
Okay, but I'm actually not talking about the radical few. Name an Islamic country that isn't a complete shit show, and go.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna answer your first question, and the answer is for me. The answer is quite simple, and that is their doctrine dictate that they take over the world in a nutshell. So of course, so if you just only had, one or two, and this rings true truthfully, it rings true for all religions, right? But since we're specifically talking about Islam, so if you just had a small community of Muslims, I think it's possible for them to just be moderate and live out and assimilate into the community. But what happens is all it takes is for that cliche saying where one bad apple spoils the bunch. I think it only takes a couple to come into that community or even a neighboring community and radicalize those that the people that the ones that could be radicalized, the impressionable Muslim, right? All it takes is to radicalize them and then present their doctrine, their word, which says, we are supposed to spread the world should be Islam. And so from their point of view, they're doing exactly what their doctrine teaches them to do. They're doing what the Quran teaches them to do.
We have a saying in Canada. I don't know if you guys have it in the U.S. It says that squeaky wheel gets the oil.
We have it. We have that saying too.
Okay, so like the loudest of them, they're the ones that get the attention. So like if they come over here and they're louder, then I think maybe atheists should be a little louder about things instead of
You know what? I had that conversation not too long ago. And I think the problem with that is we don't have being atheist is pretty much being a free thinker, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we're smart or, we're rational thinkers or critical thinkers, but it is being a free thinker. And I think the problem with atheism, the reason why we can't be loud is because we don't agree on what are we going to be loud about?
There's two things that all atheists agree on, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is they don't believe in God.
Right, but we can't really.
And they're secular. Like they don't think that.
Just the separation of church and state.
I've never met an atheist that says, religion should. Oh, actually, you know what? There's one.
Steve Shive.
No, Steve Shive wants religion in.
Shive calls modern atheist movement Christianophobes and Islamophobes and.
Oh, fuck Steve Shives anyways. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell him to take his balls out of his wife's purse. Fuck.
But to go back to what you were saying, but that's not, let's say we make a lot of noise just about that one topic, and let's say they gave it to us. Well, then that's it. That's the end of our movement.
I think we need a political party, though.
Oh, now you're talking. You're fucking talking. I've been thinking that this entire election. I was like, we need I think we do have a secular party. Let me look at it before.
No, but I want a straight up like fucking evidence-based fucking, atheistic party that wants fucking that is like I'm just not going to placate to your bullshit anymore.
Right, yeah. I'm with you on that one. We wouldn't get anywhere, but it would be cool. It would be awesome. It would be a
front door
step. It would be the as Donald Trump would say, huge. It would be a huge step forward.
Huge. Right. They would build a wall. They would see us coming.
It would be the greatest. It would be the greatest thing that ever happened to our political system.
Yeah, for
and for the country. Yeah,
for sure.
Don't know how to get something like that started though. If you find out, man, let me know. I'm down for that.
Just what you would do is you would start grassroots in a municipal election, and you would like me. I have a criminal record, so I'm out. But I would do it if I didn't. I'm pretty.
And I'm not a politician. I can hardly speak now.
Yeah, but apparently Americans don't like politicians. So I mean, you're the perfect candidate. You have no experience, right?
But you know what though? But okay.
Oh, you're not a cunt though. So
I was about to say, if I was running as a conservative, I could run and probably get some traction, right? Because they don't care about how well you speak or what you know. You can be a fucking idiot. Donald Trump is the example of that. Mm-hmm. But I think that if we had an atheist or secular candidate, we would hold that candidate to a higher standard than the conservatives hold their candidates. Like that, that person would have to be smart.
For sure. And a purely atheist party would not work in the U.S. Like, you would have to either do it in Canada or in Europe, right? Because of the way that your party systems are. Like, you guys only
Or we would have to disguise it as something else. We would have to call it something else.
But I just mean for it to even be viable. Because, like, let's be honest, like, the two, after the two parties, nothing's viable there. Yeah. Like, the greatest thing that's happened to the third and fourth parties in the U.S. is they got talked about on a commercial. They didn't make it onto the debate platform like they do here. Like, parties that don't even have seats have made it to the debate platform here, right? So, like, down there, you have to pay to play. And I don't see an atheist party being able to even, like, would they get it, like, spoken about? Like, the media wouldn't even
get
cover
any attraction, period.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that if we would start a party, let's say this was real, talking about it. If we would start a party now, right, and we really worked social media, I think that we wouldn't need the media at all.
Bernie really worked social media, and we all saw where that came from. How most citizens, and we'll get back on topic in a second, I'm sorry, how most citizens learn about somebody's platform and the things that they stand for is through the media. If the media is only covering two parties, then the other ones don't stand a chance because nobody even knows what those parties stand for.
But do you think it would be different because Bernie supporters? I mean, Bernie still had a lot of supporters that are used to getting their information from CNN and the media, right? The mainstream media.
I think that the best.
You don't think it would be different for an atheist? Because look, atheists, we're on the net all the time.
I know, but
most of us are critical of the media. You don't think that it would be different for us, that we would have
the percentage of the population in the U.S. of atheists is too low, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's too low. And your best chance at a secular candidate, corruption stolen from you. So, I mean, like, the cards, Bernie Sanders was secular. He may have had Jewish heritage, but he was secular. And he was openly secular as well. He wasn't just like he was like a little bit secular. He was openly secular.
Okay, I get your point.
The Liberal Party believes that terrorists should get to keep their Canadian citizenship. Because I do. And I'm willing to take on anyone who disagrees with that.
Yeah, that was our famous Prime Minister Justin Trudeau speaking to people who thought he was joking. Turns out he wasn't. He actually was believing that terrorists should retain their citizenship and that they basically, once you're Canadian, you're always Canadian. And basically made that into law.
Yeah, so I think if you're born here, obviously they can't send you anywhere else, so you face the law. And I consider terrorist acts treason, so whatever the penalty is for treason, that's what, and then also the murder of, if you ended up killing people or injuring people. But I think if you were born in another country and you come here and you commit an act of terror for political gain or religious gain or whatever it is, your ass goes back to wherever the fuck you came from. And I'm not one of these people who's like, if you don't speak my language or you don't look like me, get out, because like I said earlier in the show, my family are immigrants as well. But I just, like, terrorism is a completely different animal. And that's not fucking really cool that the Prime Minister said that shit. It's just not.
Yeah, I disagree with you. If someone comes into Canada or any country and commits a terrorist act, I think they should be put to death and not sent back anyway. Sent back to anywhere. I am very much in favor of the death penalty for terrorism. You don't get to murder, commit, heinous acts like beheadings and raping and all of the things that, we talked about in the last story, and go back to your country and live out a, prosperous life, especially on the government's dime, on the taxpayers' dime.
Mm-hmm. The problem with that is that in Canada there is no death penalty.
In Canada, there's no death. Okay,
yeah, like even for treason now, there's no death penalty anymore in Canada at all. Period. Point blank. So that's why I'm saying send them back.
Do you guys have like
yeah, but I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay for them to be in jail. I'd rather just fucking. Obviously, if they kill people, then they need to be dealt with the law. Like like there should be.
So what is the penalty for treason in Canada?
You get 25 years. You'll probably serve 10. Our sentences are very, very light compared to the U.S. Like there is one sentence if you're criminally insane, then they can give you life from now on. But you got to be the worst, and have been in court over and over and over again. Otherwise, like you'll 25. And you'll do 10. So, like, when they say life in Canada, that's actually 25 years.
Wow. And even if you served all 25, that's still a pretty decent deal for what you did.
Of course. That's a slap on the wrist.
Well, think of it this way. There was a kid, and because he was a kid, he wasn't very old, who had two, basically bombs on him and was in a taxi. He was heading towards an airport, I think, if my memory serves me correct, or a train station, something like that.
It was a train station. It was in Vancouver. He's heading towards the train.
And the police stopped. Basically, he detonated one explosive in the taxi, which was minor. It wasn't very powerful. It didn't kill him or the driver. But the police didn't want to take any chances with the second, so they opened fire and they killed him. To me, they were heroes in some respects, because look at the amount of people that could have died because of that individual.
Of course,
and
right.
In that we have to compliment the cooperation between Canada and the United States, because it was actually the FBI that contacted the RCMP and said, "Listen, you have this person that is planning to do this inside your country, and this is where he is." So
if that guy hadn't have been killed by the police, right? If he only had the first bomb and he was injured, and the driver had just been injured, and they had taken him into custody, the worst he would have gotten was 25 years.
Correct.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
And he would have been out in 10.
Right, because probably good behavior or whatever.
Yeah, like it's very rare that somebody that gets a 25-year sentence serves more than 10 years. They usually get out in parole afterwards. Like in these instances, that system completely sucks. But when you're talking about drug dealers or other people that get long-term sentences in the United States, that these people have actually been rehabilitated in Canada the same way that, okay, so you send somebody to jail for a very long time for being a drug dealer in the U.S., and they're there for the rest of their lives. Even though they're no longer the same person, it's a non-violent crime, they never get out again. Where in Canada, that guy gets 25-year sentence, he's rehabilitated, he's not the same guy anymore. 10 years from now, he goes in front of the parole board, they're like, yeah, you've been here long enough. I understand it at that point, and in that point, the system is superior. But when it comes to, like you said earlier, putting somebody to death that's a terrorist or committing treason, because during World War II, because there were deserters from Canada, the U.S., England, there was German citizens that immigrated to North America or to England, wherever, and then motherland called them. They went back. They were found on the battlefield. they weren't given a trial or a court or anything. You caught a treason. They executed you on sight. They put you to the firing range, and they killed you right there. So I don't not agree that treason is a killable crime. It's just when it comes to law, right. it doesn't exist anymore. And when it comes to law, it's complicated. So like our system in some ways is better, but then when it comes to like really serious shit like this, it's not.
So, you know what's funny is because now Trudeau has made this a law, right? Did I hear that clip right? Mm-hmm. So now this is a law. So it's not complicated to make that a law, but it's complicated to just say we're gonna change the law or add this law that says that
because he has a majority government.
And what really is disgusting about this is that he claims he's a feminist, okay? He claims he's a feminist, he's for women's rights, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, he goes into a mosque, which is segregated, meaning that there is women up top and men on the bottom. They're up in the women are up in the balcony. They're not allowed to speak to the prime minister. They're not allowed to come for a photo op with the prime minister. And his first opening line in his statement is, wow, look at the diversity and how wonderful it is. To me, the man is...
That's that is just a straight political, statement though. That is like, hey, that was written in the limo on the way over there.
Well, I mean, he has 2 female MPs that come into that mosque with him. But they have to go in through the side door while he comes in the front door. They have to cover their heads and not speak the whole time they're there. And he thinks that's wonderful. To me, this capitulation, the surrender, not only of the Canadian identity, but of the thinking person and
the surrender of the leadership.
Yeah, and the surrender of the leadership makes this more distasteful than is even being perpetrated on the media, local media.
Yeah. I don't remember if we said this on air, if it was in the, just a conversation between stories, but I think that goes back to the whole, being extra accommodating, right?
Well,
which is kind of rooted in fear, in my opinion. Yeah. It's all just rooted in fear.
With Trudeau, before, during the campaign trail, I know you guys wouldn't have got this news, but he went to a mosque and prayed that was actually linked to getting extreme young extremists to go and fight for ISIS. So an extremist mosque, and the right wing media was calling him the mosque hopper because every week he was in a different mosque. So I mean,
the only images we get of Trudeau is he's he's like the JFK Jr.
Yeah, but he's not he's
I just mean aesthetic wise.
He looks like that, but it's actually been a complete failure. And even the young people that voted him in, they were booing him the other day. It's just nothing he promised has come to pass. He's a media darling and he's on the world stage and everybody thinks he's the greatest because he has these SJW talking points, but nothing that he's promised has come true with the economy. And he had these really funny sayings sunny days, my friend, sunny days, meaning in the future things are going to be sunny, but it's just he's just been one failure after another and kept none of the promises he's made at all. Yeah, it's brutal.
He's sucking up really bad to even China. I mean, he even praised the Chinese dictatorship for allowing things to happen, and it was what
he said. What he said about China is that I respect the Chinese government for their ability to control their citizens. This is a goddamn fucking communist country we're talking about,
right? Yeah.
Did he forget the 80s and the 70s?
Well, wait, he's only what? How old is he? He's only 20-something, 30-something, right? How old is he?
He's in his 40s.
Is he? Is he that old?
Yeah.
Damn, that's a sexy 40-year-old, man.
God damn, he's sexy.
This is a sexy ass
right
40
now.
girl. You know, I'm 40. I look nothing like that.
I'm 30.
Damn.
I'm 38 and built like a marshmallow man. But
Dude, that's me. I'm like I was so happy last summer when dad bods were in. Remember that? I was like, oh, cool. I can take my shirt off now.
I won't get in on this party because I used to look like that, but I don't anymore.
Oh, you used to be a pretty boy?
No, I'm back to being a pretty boy.
Oh, okay. Well,
I lost 40, damn near 40
fuck you.
Damn near 40 pounds I lost.
no, basically what he did was he watched a bunch of Trudeau speeches and then he started puking up every.
Oh, that's how you did. Okay. then I should be really thin now because of Donald Trump.
There you go.
But
okay, well, I'll give I'll give my last thought on it, and then I'll give you guys your chance to. I don't think Trudeau is going to last another term. Like I think this is his one term. I don't think we're going to go NDP. Even though like if you're a real like progressive and you like real, other than the fact that fuck man, I have a hard time voting for them since they supported Islam. But if you want your society to run best based on evidence in Canada, you should probably vote NDP. I doubt that's going to happen. It's probably going to go back to conservative. Like there's too many fuck ups, and this is just one more fuck up. So anyways, that's my last thought on it.
My last thought on this is that if the current trend that is happening in Europe continues as it is somewhat happening here in Canada, is that we're capitulating without a fight. That the average citizen doesn't understand the amount of control they're going to lose over their own identity and of their own culture. This is something that we need to fight for. It is a clash of civilizations. We need to stand up and actually fight for what is ours and stand up for reason and rationality over faith and dogma. That's my last thoughts.
And I guess my final thought would be that, you know what, I would just say this. I'll just say this. And this is just tying in the last, the last two stories about ISIS fighters coming home and almost being treated as war heroes, right? I'm taking this, I guess maybe I'm taking this a little too personally, but I think that I know that as a society, as a country, we really do have to stop this being oversensitive to religion. I'm trying to frame this in the right way, but we need to just stop being oversensitive to religion. We need to stop being accommodating to, especially these religious ideas that are just toxic and dangerous, and stop living in fear of what certain people can do to us when we, don't conform to their ideas. That's my final point.
Right on. Okay, so pimp your shit.
So I think last time I was on here, I said my show was coming back like that next week, and I've had so many problems. The devil is busy. That's what my grandmother would say.
The devil is busy.
The devil is so busy, man. I've had so many dang issues from technical problems, and then I had some deaths. My granddad died, and then I had another friend to die. So I've had just in work and life and everything. But I am coming back within like the next 2 weeks. I'm planning my first show back, and I know you guys are gonna be on my show
for sure.
Yeah. But if you want more information, it's anotheratheistpod.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at atheistpod show, or find me on Facebook and like my Facebook page. I don't post that much, but when I do, I think it's insightful and sometimes funny. It's worth it. And drop me a line. I always answer people back. Drop me a line.
And you have a webpage.
www.anotheratheistpod.com. And you can find me on social media from there, from the front page.
So I'd like to thank. So we took 25 days off. We had some issues, technical issues, some sicknesses, some other issues, and we put out a show last week. Wasn't really sure if people were still going to be, had us in their subscriptions or not, but the numbers are really well. So I want to thank you guys for sticking by and waiting for the next shows to come out.
Yeah, we really want to say we're appreciative of all our listeners, and to let you know that we're here to try to do the best show we can for you. So if you have any comments, please email us at thewaywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com.
Nobody's going to email us.
I hope they do. Even to tell me I'm a dickhead. I don't care. Send all hate mail to me.
Send your opinion. If you have a differing opinion, like fucking send it in. Tell us why we're wrong, or tell us why we're right.
That's right. Just do it, man.
I'll send you guys an email.
You will? You fucking cunt. Okay.
This was the Wayward Atheist Podcast. Visit our new website at waywardatheists.com. Follow us on Spreaker, Spreaker.com/waywardatheists. You can email us at waywardatheistpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at waywardatheists and on Facebook.com/waywardatheists. If you enjoy our content, feel free to leave us a review on iTunes, and feel free to support us at patreon.com/waywardatheists.